Right then, three new identities that you will use in A2 Maths in trigonometry. Starting off with the two from AS Maths, which I've written on the screen already. If we take the sine squared x plus cos squared x equaling 1 identity, and if we divide both sides of that equation by sine squared x, then the first term becomes 1. The second term becomes cos squared x over sine squared x, which will simplify in a moment. And the right hand side becomes 1 over sine squared x, which by definition is cosec squared x. Now cos x over sine x, and then the whole thing has been squared. If we now look to the right hand side of the screen, the other identity from AS, sine x over cos x is always equal to tan x. If we multiply both sides of this by cos x, and then divide both sides by sine x, and now divide both sides by tan x. On the left we get 1 over tan x, which by definition is cot x, the cotangent of x. Remember, I'm dividing by tan x at the moment, and on the right hand side I'll be left with cos x over sine x. So that is a brand new identity. Cos x divided by sine x is cot x. I can now use that to simplify this middle term. That is the square of cos x over sine x. You don't have to do, but you can write it all in brackets, cos x over sine x, and then the whole thing squared. So this second term can be written as cot squared x, and there we have another brand new identity. 1 plus cot squared x is cosec squared x. That will be true for all values of x. I say all values of x, there is a small limitation there. If x gave us a value of sine that was 0, then it's not allowed to go into these functions. So there are some x values that you can't work out the cosec of, and you can't work out the cot of. Think about the graphs of cosec x and cot x. They have asymptotes. So it's those values that I'm talking about. We've got two identities, two new identities. Let's get a third one, going back to the sine squared x plus cos squared x equaling 1 identity, and this time dividing both sides by cos squared x. The first term, sine squared x over cos squared x. Well, we know sine x over cos x is tan x. So sine squared x over cos squared x, the first term, we can write as tan squared x. The second term, cos squared x divided by itself, gives us 1. And on the right hand side, 1 divided by cos squared x, by definition, is sec squared x. So there we have three new identities. You need to know where they come from. An exam question could ask you to show where, in particular these first two, show where they came from. It's also possible you could be asked to show where the third one comes from, and that's what we've just done in this example here. I've shown you where they came from. They came from the original two identities from AS Maths. So commit those to memory. Best way to do that is just to use them lots and lots, doing lots of practice. You'll find you've soon memorized them.